2004, 2023, 2017.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's February the 5th at 6 PM, 2024, and it is time to call the city council meeting to order. Ms. Jones, roll call, please.
Present.
Present.
Ms. McGinnis?
Here.
Ms. Nally?
Here.
Ms. Price?
Here.
Mr. Bryan?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mayor Norman?
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Brian Reese with the prayer and pledge.
All right, and good evening. I invite you to join me. Our Father, we come before you this evening. Thank you so much for the privilege of being here together with these folks as we sitting here and those even participating here on the council as they make decisions for our city. Thank you for them. Give them discernment as they consider the matters and make decisions. Thank you so much tonight for law enforcement, even our canines that serve. And Lord, we just pray that you would keep them safe, protect them as they serve and protect us. Be with the rest of the items on the agenda tonight. And we pray you would pour your blessings upon our city. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Stand together for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Brian. Is there any announcements or public comments that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will go on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda meeting minutes from January 17th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there isn't any old business. We'll go right into new business.
Move to read new business by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go to item number 1, presentation of K-9 donor awards and K-9 officer retirement awards. Police Chief Kirby Cochran.
Thank you, Mayor. Try and, want to come down?
Sure. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll make this, painless as we can, I'm losing my voice. First of all, I want to thank all my K-9 guys for coming out. They've been training all day. They're probably tired and ready to go home. Brian said he did get the dog back. Appreciate that. But all joking aside, the K-9s are near and dear to me. I did work a dog at some point in time, but the hours that these guys spend is countless. I mean, it's not just when they're working, but when they're at home, they're taking care of these dogs. So I truly appreciate it. I know they're a great asset to the department, and I know you appreciate it. So we wanted to just do a recognition for the 2 dogs that are retiring, Stinger and then Rambo. So if you guys could come up, Jesse and Brian. Here. Jesse, come down.
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't handle Stinger.
No, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you so you can take it. So, both these guys work on Tim, if you raise your hand, Tim Coy is head of our canine program and kind of oversees the training. Dustin Scott comes to us from Whiteland. He brought the dog with him, so we appreciate him as well. But you can take that one. These are just recognitions for the dog's retirement. We are currently working on replacing the 2 dogs. We know we have funding donated for at least one of the dogs now. Then we'll continue to work on the second one. So there are several donors here tonight that we want to thank personally. A lot of folks don't like to get the recognition, but just know for us, community partnership is everything. We did not have funding for the dogs that we replaced, as these guys know, we talk about it. It sounds easy, but these are $20,000 tools. And so that money is just not laying around. We don't like to come to the city council and ask for it. So we go out in the public. And that's how we got the donations to replace 1 dog now. So some of the donors are here, some of them are not. But as I call you, if you would come up, then we'll get everybody up here and get a photo. Franklin Family Dentistry. Anybody here from ICI? It's all good, hang on. I don't think you can. When they had the water damage. And then Hannah from Graham's Record Service, you guys wanna come up? We did have 3 others that asked not to be publicly recognized, but, so I'll honor that. I wouldn't want to, but I would. We really appreciate it, like I said, it's a $20,000 venture to replace these dogs, so we want to, say thank you. We say it all the time too, but we truly appreciate it. And I know these guys too. You guys wanna say anything about that, Tim, or? Tim, you know more than anybody what it costs to get these dogs and get them trained and.
Yeah, it's truly appreciated. It's hard to get it budgeted, and we never know when we're gonna lose a dog. Anything can pop up health-wise, something that'll take them out of service or just take them away from us, period. Anything like that can pop up at any time, so whenever this happens, it's truly appreciated.
And I would like to just add, I always tell people what makes Franklin Franklin is its people. And I think this is a perfect example of what the people of Franklin would do to try to help and work together. So it's truly appreciated. Coming from, I'm speaking on behalf of the city council as well as the mayor's office. I know they appreciate it as much as I do. So thank you guys. Thank you.
You get a couple of questions. Brian, real quick, thank you for all your work, Jesse, you too. I know you guys had some dogs, Jesse had a dog that passed. Unexpected. Yeah, Jesse had a dog that passed unexpectedly. That's a pretty cool thing as a dog handler. Brian's retiring the dog and gonna be picking up a second dog to take care of, so we appreciate him as well. Justin, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Gotcha.
Yep, thanks. That was quick.
Wants to.
As our gift to you, you guys can leave if you want to. As our gift to you, you can leave, or you can stay for this other stuff.
It's time to go.
I mean, you're welcome to stay.
Oh, you
You're
can
welcome
stay.
to stay, but.
Thank everyone for being patient. That's pretty special to us, so.
Absolutely.
Okay, item number 2, introduction to City Council Ordinance 2024-01, establishing a municipal riverfront development project area within the city of Franklin, City Attorney Lynn Gray, and Community Development Director Krista Linke.
Thank you, Mayor. Krista is sitting back here. This is for introduction purposes only, but let me give you a little bit of a background to the council. I know some of you have asked me about it previously, and this has been something we've been talking about. By way of history, prior to the 2020 census results coming out, our census numbers were under $25,000, or 25,000 people. And that was the number that we had. And the significance of that from a alcohol and tobacco licensing perspective was because you were under 25,000 people, you could take a 2-way liquor permit and turn it into a 3-way liquor permit by simply asking for it to be converted. So that basically gave us as a community an unlimited number of licenses that we could use for our restaurants that would come and relocate. Once we became a city over 25,000 with the latest census, even though it was just by a few hundred, we lost that ability by being a small community. So now we have a limited number of 2-way and 3-way alcohol permits. We are not alone in that issue because what it does is it really restricts some development from economic standpoint, and that's why many of the redevelopment commissions and development commissions of various entities then sought the ability, which is approved by the legislature, to create what we call riverfront districts for restaurants, and then they can apply to the alcohol and tobacco, what is it, who do they apply to? ATC, to get a license if they are going to come in and present a restaurant and those kinds of things. You do that by creating what they call riverfront districts, and they're required to be placed along a river, which is not defined under the statute. And so there have been a lot of communities that have taken very, very small things that are a lot less than Young's Creek and called those riverfront district. In the 2019 article with the Business Journal, the IBJ, there were at that point in time, over 35 municipalities who had elected to utilize this tool for economic development. In order to do that, the process is such that the council of that entity approves an ordinance to allow it, and then they direct some governing body. Generally speaking, we thought the Board of Works would be the one that deals with permitting and things of that. A Board of Works to develop guidelines, and Krista was good enough to attach for your review copies of those proposed guidelines that might be suggested to the Board of Works. And then any company that was coming in, primarily restaurants, that would come in and say, this is what we would like to do, this is where we would like to locate, and if they were located within one of your districts, then the Board of Works could recommend that they then go to the ABC and get a liquor permit. It's always subject to their approval. We don't make the approval, but they need a letter from us recommending this. So the first process of that is to introduce an ordinance to the council, and that draft ordinance is for your review. The draft maps are 4 years. We really essentially have two. Both a US 31 district and a riverfront district. The requirements are that because this is an economic development tool, that there be either investments from the municipality in that area that have occurred in the past or are going to occur in the future. We have no problem meeting that requirement. That's why you have Exhibit C attached that talks about the amount of money that the city has invested into these improvement areas. So we clearly meet the criteria. The question is whether or not we wish to do it like most municipalities have. And I think Krista would chime in that we are really concerned that if we do have unique restaurants, if we do have unique opportunities, if we can't give them this opportunity, this proposed ability to go to the ABC and get a permit, we might lose some of those developments that our citizens have been asking for in terms of unique restaurants and types and that kind of thing. So the first step is introduction tonight. It will then be set for a public hearing next meeting. Krista will be here to be able to answer any questions. We'll provide you any information. If you wanted to, it's really easy to go online. Also look at the IBJ journal about it if you want to learn anything. But there's a lot of information out there in most municipalities. I know Columbus, I know Greenwood, Fishers, Noblesville, Carmel. I mean, I looked at all of them. Somewhere about 35 of them have done and developed these kinds of things. So not a new concept, but I think something that maybe will be essential for us in terms of going forward for economic development purposes. So happy to answer any questions. Did I cover it, Krista? So we'll set it for public hearing at the next meeting.
I just want to add, the next meeting is on a Wednesday, by the way. It's February 21st. I know sometimes we do that because of a holiday, so just making that clear. Okay, any questions for Lynn before we move on? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to item number 3, introduction of budgetary ordinance 24-01, authorizing an additional appropriation for the non-tax supported funds. Clerk Treasurer Jan Jones.
This is just for the donations that were not used in 2023 and for them to be appropriated to be spent in 2024.
And this is something that we do every year. So that one's been introduced. Is there any questions for Jan? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to the next item. Approval of budgetary resolution 24-01, transfer from the general fund to the rainy day. So in that, there's an attachment here. We can do this one today, right?
Yes,
Because
it's a
funds
resolution.
that's
Yeah,
there that
you're just
we're-
transferring. Already appropriated, just transferring. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to explain what the attachment is that I handed out. I think Tara's trying to pull it up. Yep. Okay, so the very first, the top of it, the big one, that is supposed to be the funds that was left over from, that wasn't expended from our departments. And a lot of those funds, like you see the biggest, like where fire is 229,000, police 225,000. A lot of that comes from where they didn't have officers or firemen through the wages. Through the Board of Works is where we didn't spend all the 400 series and other things. And then the one at the cemetery, the 133,000, the reason that was left, if you remember, you appropriated funds for the arboretum, or colubrium, and we didn't get that done, so that's where that was at. But anyway, we're trying to keep every year, you can see down at the next item on the left, the one that says year 2017, 18, 19, 20, and on down. That's just showing you what we have done year to year on transferring from the rainy day or to the general fund. And that's just so we can stay consistent. I wanted everybody to see that. And then the other fund, the other one to the right, that is at the end of January 1, 2024. It shows the funds that are left in the account that we have. And then you see what it was at 23, and then where it was at 27, or in 2017. And I think you all know, I always reference 2017 because that's whenever I started office. And the one fund, the MVH restricted, where it was zero in 2017, the reason it was zero, that fund wasn't there. That's an MVH be spent on roads only. I've already talked to Department Head, Mr. Jones. And we're gonna, that money this year will be, at least 1 million of it will be used for, to match the community crossing grants. So that's what that fund started and why it was zero in 2017, because it didn't exist. So I think that shows how consistent it is, and we can pass this one tonight, and that will get us in our rainy day fund, $5,115,000, $325 or something, so we're pretty good. And we also have budgeted $500,000 in our rainy day, so that's why you see that go up and down every year. And my goal is to always try to keep that around $5 million. That doesn't mean we have to or anything like that, but that is my goal to try to do. And I think the council has expressed that same goal to me before. So that's where we're at with that, and if we can pass it tonight, that would be great.
I want to know how I returned $21,000. I need to talk to Chip.
Hey, that's your bad.
Yeah, I'm slipping up here.
Is there any questions for me on this one?
We're transferring $1 million.
No, this one is to transfer,
The balance of the million, 236,000.
yes, that to the rainy day, and then that will get us back up to a
That will be
little
over
bit
5
over the
million at
5
that point.
million.
Okay. And that figure, I mean, sounds good to me, but what has it been? Can you tell me, you've always kept it around 5?
Yes, and that's where and I know this is kind of your first time here.
Yes.
But it says, if you look back here kind of on
My
what we-
last, though.
what we've had in the past in the rainy day, you can see at one time, at 2017 was at 4.5. And then at 23, we got down to 400. And then in 23, down here, you can also see that we, or in 22, we put $1 million into it in 22 to get it back up to the 4.8 that we had it in January.
Okay.
So, good question. Any other one? Because I always feel like if somebody is asking a question up here, then I'm sure that there's people in the audience that would like to know the same
They're
thing,
thinking
so.
it.
No question's a bad question. Any more? Taylor, you got any questions?
I don't think so.
If there's no other comments from the city council, I would like to make a motion to approve budgetary resolution 24-01.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, thank you. We will go on to the next item, which is introduction. Introduction of budgetary ordinance 24-02, transfer of 2023 unused appropriations to the Board of Works Capital Fund. That's the 400 series. And on that, Todd, if what we were explaining down on the bottom, it shows what we did last year. Last year, we put, it looks like 1.1 million into the general fund, and we put $1 million into the rainy fund. And the reason that people are thinking, why do we have this kind of money left over? It's because we have projects that's been bid that never got finished that we're paying for this year. So that's why there's some money that comes back. Plus, again, like I said, if there's 4 police officers, positions that are not filled and they're in the budget, because you turn over people at certain times, that's where the money comes back to. So,
It's our emergency fund.
it's a way to get projects, and last year, I think, if you remember, we had Jeff Peters come and explain that it's probably a pretty good way to keep funding projects as you go.
I agree.
It's a great question, but one of the things I have seen from application purposes is we have the ability to have cash, which also gives us the ability to get the match, where other communities don't. But you have to have that, so you can take your million and make it 2 by doing grants and things, but you've got to have these funds available to get that done. So I think that's probably one of the biggest benefits that this community has been able to see from having that kind of management of the funds to go back. And plus, we don't bid projects we haven't had appropriated monies for. You don't bid them unless you have the money. So that's the carryover and then having to sweep it back in.
Refreshing that we're not operating in a deficit.
That's correct, we do not.
Okay, so if you remember, and again, I wanted to be able to answer this question, and if you remember, I put a project list out a couple meetings ago, and these funds that's going in, this $1 million that's going into the Board of Works will help accommodate these projects. That's,
Yes.
Okay.
I remember that sheet. Thank you for that.
okay, so that one's introduction only. It's been introduced. Now we are going on to, unless anybody else have any questions? Okay, we'll go on to other business. Aspire, Johnson County Economic Development and Chamber Alliance presentation. Amanda Rubidoux.
Managed to hold on to this thing the whole time and didn't push it, so we'll see if I can screw this up now. So, thank you. All right. Good evening, members of the council. My name is Amanda Rubidoux. I'm Vice President of Economic Development for Aspire Johnson County. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak this evening. Wanted to provide you with an update on just what we've been working on over the last 12 months.
To be fair, Amanda, you're the first one to use this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But you did open his garage door.
I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm gonna put you on tour.
Well, they do have the slide deck in their folders.
Click.
I tried this like 14 times today and it was.
You run the battery down.
And I put new batteries in it. I'll just
Can
do
you
it.
scroll for me? Thank you. Yes, of course.
And we did talk about this being the first time, and she had it working, so I vouch for that.
Well, the fact that I didn't hit anything back there is just a miracle within itself. So Aspire's purpose is to drive economic development and business success in Johnson County and southern Indianapolis. We do that through our key service areas, economic development, which you'll mostly hear about this evening, business advocacy, so our work at the State House, entrepreneurial services, community and workforce development, and member services. We serve as the local economic development organization and chamber serving all of Johnson County and southern Indianapolis, southern Marion County. Next slide. So today I have brought with me most of our economic development team that works on behalf of Johnson County and Franklin to attract new business to our communities and provide the resources needed to keep our existing businesses here and growing here in Johnson County. Christian Maslowski, our president and CEO, Pat Moon, our economic development specialist, and not with us this evening though is Jennifer Hollingshead. She is our school to work specialist. Our work includes responding to projects or site information requests, relationship building with real estate professionals, business support, and working with our existing businesses and workforce development to build our workforce pipeline. All right. So the LEAD process is like a giant funnel. So when I'm in here for RDC, EDC, and I talk about, leads are down, leads are up, that type of thing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's a giant funnel. So it looks like full of sites and communities competing for high-quality jobs and companies to land in their area. Site selectors start with a wish list of all of the things that their clients, the company, is going to need in a new location. That could be, I need to be close to a major research and development facility. I need a certain amount of utility service. I need to be close to rail. I need this size of building, I need this type of workforce, that type of thing. So the site selector takes that wish list and reviews that against all of the, the regions and states and starts to whittle down that list. Once that list is down to a manageable number of sites or states or regions, then we get that wish list. And that gets sent through the IEDC, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. We get a wish list. We get that wish list, and then we start to match that to sites in our area, in some of our communities, depending on, is that a company or is that an industry that our communities have indicated that they are interested in? Is this a high quality company, high quality jobs? Is it environmentally impactful? Is it, how's the pay scale? Those types of things that we're looking for. And so then we reply with all of the information that they've requested. And actually in your packet, I've put in there one of the questionnaires that we've received that goes to show you just some of the information that Pat is working to gather when it comes to these RFIs. They can be incredibly complicated. It's the one that says Deloitte at the top. So if one of our sites bubbles up to the top or stays on that short list, and the site selector then requests a letter outlining potential incentives. I heard a site selector say this is like requesting a marriage proposal before the blind date. And so this is where I actually pass the baton to Dana and the mayor's team, and then they start the process of incentives negotiation. But what happens before that? Before we get a lead, I assure you, we're not sitting around waiting on the phone to ring, sipping martinis. We need to be aware of the sites that are available, what types of utilities and the capacity that is available to those sites. Is there a tenant that's moved in? Is there a tenant that's left? Do we have a new site that's available? Is there land that's been purchased? Is there land that's been taken off the market? All of those types of things, we need to have that information. We also have workforce and industry data available, and sometimes need to turn that around pretty quickly to site selectors or real estate professionals that are courting potential companies. We work to develop those relationships with site selectors and brokers so that we can play both offense and defense on our community's behalf. There are industries that you guys aren't interested in, and we understand that. There are industries that can be really environmentally impactful. They can be challenging. They may not pay very well, and those aren't necessarily. And we want to indicate to the brokerage community that that's not necessarily a good fit for this particular site or this particular community. So we play offense as much as defense on our community's behalf. Next slide, please. Thank you. So our economic strategic plan really guides our work. Our goal is to attract 50% more advanced industry super sector jobs, which includes life sciences, advanced manufacturing, tech, energy, and to increase the county's average wage by 15%, which we thought was a really audacious goal back in 2020. But you can see we obviously have not taken our foot off the gas, and we are at 5,009 advanced industry jobs, and our current county average wage is $23.45. So we're very excited about that. Next slide, please. So I'd like to spend my remaining time on kind of what we're seeing and kind of giving you a little bit of an idea of what we've seen over the last year, and then what we saw prior to that. So if you've been in an RDC EDC meeting with me, I have informed you of this. We've had a much quieter 2023 in terms of incoming leads. As a reminder, these are companies that have reached out to the state, Indie Partnership, or directly to us, that are looking for a site to either relocate or expand into. In 2022, we had 57 leads that we responded to, and in 2023, we had 49. You can see, though, from the potential investment, even though this is substantially less, the investment is quite a bit higher. And so we also believe that this is also in quality of projects as well. So we think that that's definitely impactful. You can see the chart below is the fluctuation from month to month on these leads that we're seeing. Now, all of the numbers that you're seeing right here are leads that we have responded to, so that we've had a site that may be a good fit for one of these requests. We don't respond to everything. Actually, there's a lot we don't respond to. So like I said, it's part of that defense that we're not submitting sites for projects that aren't necessarily a good fit for our communities. Let's see here. So let's see here. Yep, so you can kind of see how December actually, we're looking at the gray line, the December actually finished a little stronger than 2022, but you can see how quiet the summer was in that gray line between July, August, and October. So, but just some updates, obviously those leads have slowed a little bit. We have 40 different action steps to our strategic plan, and we consistently meet with our Economic Development Advisory Council, which the mayor, Dana, and Krista are all part of, Tara attends. And so they help us reprioritize those action steps once a year, so that what we're working on is the highest priority in that moment. So we regularly do those reprioritizations. We're also looking at the things that affect our workforce. We hosted 3 community workshops last year, one on early childhood education and daycare, one on mental health, and one on housing. We are actually hosting another community workshop tomorrow morning on the state of healthcare. So all of those things that really impact our workforce, we are definitely be supporting, making sure that our companies and our workforce is educated on those challenges and seeing what we can do to help mitigate those. Next slide, please. So workforce development, this is where I get to brag on all of the cool things Jennifer's been doing over the last year. So Jennifer's job is to connect businesses with the classroom and students to career opportunities in Johnson County. So we are not making enough people right now, so we need to make sure that the people that we're making stay in Johnson County. And so we need to let them know that we have some super cool jobs here, and that they can stay here and do some pretty cool things. So during the 2022-23 school year, which was our first full school year doing these school to work efforts, we had 2,009 engagements with businesses, teachers, and students over that school year. We hosted an Internship 101 event, which introduced companies from all different industries on how to host interns and how to walk through that process. And we have a document that those companies can utilize, and some peers that they can reach out to. Excuse me. We also hosted teacher field trips. We will continue to do those each summer. Those have been really, really cool and very well received by our teachers. We did mock interviews, a medical device Shark Tank. We have our Education Industry Collaborative, which is a group of companies, teachers, and administrators that help think through some of the challenges that we're encountering and work through how to best tackle those with our school to work efforts. So it's been very exciting. All right, next, there you go. And so marketing. So we like to go out and show off all of the absolutely amazing assets that we have here in Johnson County, both here locally with real estate professionals, with our brokers and our site selectors that we have relationships with, but also across the nation. And so this last year, we did a life sciences campaign where we were promoting our life. We worked with the Indy Partnership and their Gazelle software to whittle down a big gigantic list of companies that have that are poised for growth into the Midwest. And we did this search specifically on life sciences companies. So we sent 3 of these postcards out to them, showcasing Johnson County and all of the cool assets that we have, and also sent emails. We had over 2,000 touches with these companies, showcasing Johnson County. So like I said, we also do this work nationally. So next slide. So what can you expect in 2024? Obviously, continued business support. We'll continue supporting our existing businesses. We'll continue meeting with those existing businesses to help connect them to the resources that they need to stay and grow here in Johnson County. We'll continue to foster our relationships with real estate professionals, telling our communities stories and also playing defense on your behalf. So I'm going to get a little long-winded here, wrap this up. We have been part, along with Dana and Krista as well, but have been part of the Ready 1 and 2.0 efforts. We're hosting a monthly meeting to meet with all of our Johnson County communities just to make sure that we're all on the same page and we're all singing from the same hymnal. And when we get back together with the big CERTA group, which is a really big Central Indiana Regional Development Authority group of all of the communities in Central Indiana that are now part of that group. We will be expanding our digital talent attraction campaign nationally, working with Festival Country and the Indy Partnership. We'll be borrowing their Life in Indy campaign. If you haven't been on that social media feed, that's an awful lot of fun. And we'll be borrowing that feed nationally and we'll be whittling down those communities that are a good match for people to relocate back into Johnson County. So a lot of some Midwestern states, but also some out west. So working to attract talent here as well as companies. So and we also, really important, we also took over the Employer Resource Network from the Johnson County Community Foundation. That was a program, employee retention effort that's pretty amazing that I can brag on for another 20 minutes, but you probably don't want to stay here that long. So any questions?
I have all night.
No.
Man, it looks like you're traditionally very slow in the summer months. It seems obviously that you guys must be doing a lot in the winter and in the spring, or I assume in the fall and winter. But it looks like every year kind of slow in the summer.
Yes, very much so. Yep, and then December is usually pretty quiet.
Is that kind of a precedent? I mean, okay.
Yeah, 2020 was just weird. 2021 took a while to settle down. So 22 and 23 are a little more normal. 23 is slow.
Thank you. No, one more question.
Yeah.
Whiteland, part of your group?
They are.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I think, Todd, did you have some questions?
I do. Yeah, I have some questions. Thank you. I want to thank you for being here. Is this an annual?
Well, actually, I think we talked about doing this annually, and Amanda and I had a conversation not too long ago, and I said, it might be a good idea to come to our city council and let them know what you actually do. Because
We
when
do a lot.
Yeah, when we go do our budget, I'm always asked, so I wanted them to come and.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. I thank you so much for being here tonight. I mean, I have questions because I'm the new guy on the block. So, and Aspire really was formed while I was raising children, still a member of the community, but doing other things. So I'm trying to catch up to speed on how all that works. So I do have some questions for you. Is that okay? All right.
I may call on Christian.
That's fine, that's fine. So when I went through this presentation, which is well done, I did have some questions. You said there was 49 inquiry responses. Do you know what the conversion rate is for someone inquiring and then we convert them into someone who's moving here?
That's a good, those are companies.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good question. I don't have that number offhand. It's not big.
I wouldn't think so, but
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure
it-
there's a percentage
Yeah,
that you
it's
probably
a-
have access to that you could.
And it's a very slow process. A lot of the projects, I mean, Mayor, what we work on these sometimes upwards of 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's a
So
very
you-
slow process
You
as
could
well.
probably tell us 2 years ago if you kept track of it.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
What they were
Yes.
converting to. So that would be great information, I think, for us, because we're paying a fee, $30,000 a year to be a member, right? So this helps us, because if I'm asking the questions, these people have the same questions, so I might as well be the one to ask the questions and get the answer for them. So, question on, so the $30,000, it goes into the operating budget of the Development Corporation? Is it where it goes, or is it just goes into the general fund, or how does that work?
Christian, would you?
I can answer that question. So we're a single nonprofit entity, however, we use class accounting. So any money received from the city of Franklin goes strictly to underwrite all the work that Amanda talked about.
All the work, okay, all right, okay.
And the people that drives that, so all the programs and the people.
Okay, so that is a combination of economic development and the Chamber Alliance, is that correct?
Workforce and economic development is what your funds are strictly underwriting.
Okay, all right, so there's, okay. And is there a board for both of those?
We're a single nonprofit.
Just single,
So
just
we're a
one board.
single board, and there's two councils, the mayor, Krista, Dana, and Tara attend our economic council.
Okay, so each town and city give funding for this? And how is that determined in that amount?
Generally based on population.
Population, which makes sense. So does someone at the city have a seat at the table from each town and city?
Yes, at the economic council.
At the Economic Council, awesome, okay. Sorry, bear with me.
It's good questions.
I understand. I understand you guys are very good about legislative issues, but how do you separate those legislative issues with your chamber members? Because I'm sure that's a balancing act.
Yeah, so the lobbying that we do is all funded through the chamber member dues, the business class dues. Again, all the city's fund is going to underwrite strictly the economic development and workforce development efforts and activities, the people's in the program for that. So any advocacy work that we do is being funded through the business memberships that the businesses pay.
Yeah.
That's accounted for separately, and so, again, we use class accounting, and so those expenses are credited to those
Awesome.
business class.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, you mentioned, Amanda, the life sciences, 2,000 touches. So I was intrigued by that. So do we have a conversion rate for that by chance? I mean, that's a lot of people that you're touching, so are we getting some response back from that?
Not much, no. It was, yeah, it's more about telling the story first, and then hopefully at some point being able to convert those to at least some conversations.
You see, my background is in sales.
I see that.
So leads equal, prospects and then convert them into clients. So
Yes.
that's why I'm asking those questions, so, okay. And,
Can I interject? So I share your sentiments, and when we formed Aspire, and I worked closely with Dana when we were going through that process. So I was asking all these same questions, and so because I want to win, I want to convert, we want to close. What I have learned over the last few years, and again, I think the word weird was good. 2020 and 2021 were weird, but what I have learned is that in economic development, it's a long sales cycle. And you're doing a lot of activity to make sure we're waving our community's flag. And so it's not the percentage is smaller. And when we talk, again, because I was frustrated, it's like, really, we're doing all this
Yeah.
stuff? And so as we talk with other communities, we are not unlike other communities, and unlike other
Good point.
economic development organizations. So I'm tracking you, and I was asking all the same questions, and we still track that data. And we're trying to figure out how can we improve that, but I appreciate your questions. So,
well, I think you said what you need to say because you're comparing yourself to the other counties around Marion County. And that's important to see where we add up. Now, we've been behind because the growth has been on the other side of Marion County, but it is coming this way. So it'd be, I think that conversion rate's going to keep increasing. So,
That's what we're driving for.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions? Again, Taylor, do you got any questions?
I don't think so.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate the presentation. I think it was very well done. Thank you. Okay, that gets us to council comments. We'll start, Josh, is it okay to start with you?
Yeah, that's fine. No, I don't have anything tonight. so.
Okay, we'll just pass the ball on to Ann.
Yeah, I don't have anything tonight either. Thank you.
Ken?
I don't. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sean?
Nothing.
Fine.
I've said enough.
Thank you for the questions, though.
You're welcome.
Irene?
No, nothing for me tonight, thanks.
Nothing, thank you.
Come on, you got to introduce who's here anyway.
Hi, I'm Taylor Trueblood from the Franklin Mayor's Youth Leadership Council, and Addie Holman is in the back there. And we currently just got the electrical approved by the Board of Works today, so for our electrical vehicle charger. So that will get the ball rolling, and we're super excited about that. So yeah.
And in that approval, the Mayor's Youth Council is going to pay half of, what was the dollars on that again?
40, the total was 9,500, and we're splitting it with them.
The Board of Works 400 series can pay half, and Youth Council pay the other half.
Yep.
So, okay. Tara? Jan? Ms. Gray?
No, you need to go home, close your garage door.
I'm ready to.
All right.
I don't have anything to say. We're ready for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.